The phenomenon of secularization of originally religious institutions of higher education is, of course, a common one. It reaches back almost to the earliest days of the Republic. You know all that of the 9 or 10 or 11 of the colleges that were founded before the Revolution were all religious. They were Anglican in the South, and they were Congregationalists in the Northeast, and Baptist in between. And so you all know that Yale and Harvard and Dartmouth and William and Mary were all originally religious colleges, but that over the years that character diminished until by sometime in the earlier part of the middle part of the last century, they became indistinguishable from their secular counterparts. And then the evangelical schools came along, and they went through roughly the same kind of process, but somewhat later, so that today no one really thinks of Southern California or Duke as being Methodist institutions, but that's what they were at one time. And so Catholic schools now come along in the train, a generation, 2 generations later, and the question that has been engaging the attention of an awful lot of educators in respect of Catholic schools is, well, what is the end of this process? In the course of achieving more and more recognition as fine academic institutions, will the process end in the same way as it has with Protestant institutions for the most part? Will Notre Dame in 40 years or whatever it might be simply the University of Chicago South with a Catholic name and a basilica and a shrinking core of priests and aging Catholic scholars walking the path? That's an exaggeration, of course, but it is that concern that has fueled some apprehension among some quarters, at least. One doesn't think of Chicago as being a Baptist institution, but at one time it was, and it was just as rigorously Baptist as Notre Dame has been Catholic. At Notre Dame, the panel will be discussing all of this, so I just mentioned briefly that perhaps the principal trigger for interest has been the changing composition of the faculty. The Catholic proportion of the faculty has decreased from about 85% in the 1970s to 52 or 53% today. That's a very rough kind of a measure, but it is a measure of some sorts, and its significance is to be tested against the mission statement, the relevant part of the mission statement. And this part of it was composed after some considerable debate and some disagreement on the campus. The mission statement now declares that the Catholic identity of the university depends upon the continuing presence of a predominant number of Catholic intellectuals on the faculty, and everyone agrees that predominant number means some sort of majority. Again, a rough test, but there it is, and that is what the mission states. Now, as I say, that is a subject for debate and some disagreement. Not everyone is in accord with that mission statement. Some think that for a variety of reasons it is not appropriate. The Jesuit colleges and universities, where they have lost their Catholic majorities some time back, have settled upon something like a critical number of Catholics on the faculty. As those of you who were at the luncheon with Dean Link today heard him say, and I think there would be really no disagreement, Notre Dame stands today as the finest Catholic university in the world, and of the major Catholic universities, I think really there is no question it is the most Catholic still. So that that is where matters stand. There have been other incidents that have raised some concern and some discussion. The originally titled Queer Film Festival, which now continues to be produced every year, but under a more euphonious name. I suppose particularly the Vagina Monologues has raised questions as to Catholic sensibility on the faculty, with some taking one position on it and others arguing that the play is not as meretricious as some would have it, and that in any event, even if it is, that if this is the price that must be paid for an appropriate scope for academic freedom, well, then it simply must be paid. Let me leave it with that. This has been a problem, or a challenge, let me put it that way, that the administration has squarely defined. A couple of years ago, Provost Burrish warned this: when the prospective rate of Catholic retirements is plotted against the contemporary rate of Catholic hires as a constant, it is clear that soon Notre Dame will no longer have the predominant number of Catholic faculty members whom we require. And accordingly, the administration has taken several important steps to address this situation. It has at the same time established as an important goal the rise of Notre Dame into the highest ranks of research institutions. There is arguably some tension between the two goals.